Hey guys, let's get more news about Steelers, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Desperate Steelers could go from one Hall of Fame level QB to the next in 2025. Most fans are digging in their heels on the stance of Russell Wilson or Justin Fields being the options as the starting quarterback next season. Both are free agents who could leave town in the next month. At Mike Tomlin's end-of-season press conference, the Steelers head coach mentioned they would look at exterior choices. Art Rooney too provided another quote that foresees either Fields or Wilson re-signing, and they will be the starter in 2025. At least that's what the team president is hoping for. Closing off external choices to possibly upgrade the quarterback spot is foolish. The Steelers must keep an open mind about possible solutions to the most vital position in football. Matthew Stafford and the Rams could be heading for divorce. The veteran quarterback should be on Pittsburgh's radar. It might be a similar stab as last offseason, but at least Stafford has some game left in the tank. Matthew Stafford trade to Steelers isn't a far-fetched idea. Losing is never fun, but it gets more difficult as you age. Your body can't do what it used to. Stafford has compiled a Hall of Fame-level resume over his successful career. His time in Detroit was revered, but after being traded to the LA Rams, he became a champion. The veteran quarterback was their missing link, and it rewarded both the signal caller and their organization. Since then, the Rams have remained one of the best offensive powerhouses in football. Their consistency is something teams like the Steelers envy. Stafford might not be a perfect fit in Pittsburgh's offense, but he would be an upgrade over Wilson or Fields. He has to figure out his next move, but many believe he will depart Los Angeles. Sarah Barshop, ESPN's NFL Nation reporter covering the Rams, reported Stafford's time with the Rams might have ended, but his time in the NFL hasn't. Stafford has not signaled retirement in the immediate future, but he seems ready to try for another Super Bowl run. The Steelers front office thought Wilson could have brought a spark with his veteran savvy last offseason, but that failed. Perhaps they still believe they are one piece away, and someone like Stafford would fix their woes on offense once and for all. You could see Wilson's physical limitations as the season progressed. Stafford is not mobile, but you can still see the power in his arm. If that can hold still, then he could bring reliability on offense. The best thing about Wilson on the field was his structure and leadership on offense. Stafford would provide both qualities, but he could also attack the middle of the field. If the Steelers truly believe they are one piece away from a Super Bowl trophy, then they must make trade calls for Stafford. All signs are pointing to him wanting to play more. For one reason or another, it looks like his time with the Rams is ending. Pittsburgh must not be foolish and overlook this opportunity of adding a Hall of Fame quarterback. Tim Benz, Luka Doncic trade should open eyes of Steelers management regarding George Pickens. It's not often an NBA headline makes waves in Pittsburgh, but the trade of superstar Luka Doncic from the Dallas Mavericks to the Los Angeles Lakers for a package headlined by 31-year-old All-Star Anthony Davis was that far-reaching. The Mavs will also receive third-year wing Max Christie and the Lakers' 2029 first-round draft pick. It even had Pittsburghers talking about pro basketball quite a bit on Monday. For good reason. There's a lot to be learned by the Steelers from seeing that trade. If they choose to learn anything. Which, of course, they won't. Because they are the Steelers, and they know best. As their 8 straight seasons without a playoff win clearly indicate. As the Steelers would see, if they would pay attention to this deal, acting early on moving a star player may be better than sitting around and forcing yourself to pay him just because you haven't bothered to look into other options. The situation with Doncic in Dallas is very similar to that of George Pickens in Pittsburgh and, maybe to a lesser extent, to that of T.J. Watt as well. The reason cited by Dallas general manager Nico Harrison for making the move was one of culture, as he explained it. As we turn the page, I think it's important to know that Mavs coach Jason Kidd and I "We've had a vision and the culture that we want to create since we've been here," Harrison said after the deal last weekend via ESPN.com's Tim McMahon. "The players that we're bringing in, we believe, exemplify that. We think defense wins championships, and we're bringing in one of the best two-way players in the league. How good or bad Doncic is on defense is irrelevant. He was third in MVP voting and a five-time, first-team All-NBA player. Dallas can live with his defense. They did all the way to the NBA Finals last year. What they decided they couldn't live with were his diet and his lack of attention to his conditioning. That's especially true if they were going to have to give him $345 million on a Supermax contract this offseason." That's according to McMahon, who wrote, "Sources told ESPN that constant concerns about Doncic's conditioning were a major factor in the Mavericks' decision to approach the Lakers about a trade for Davis. Doncic has played in only 22 games this season because of injuries, primarily a left calf strain that has sidelined him since Christmas Day. There was extreme frustration throughout the organization about Doncic's lackadaisical approach to diet and conditioning, which Dallas decision-makers believed negatively impacted his durability. The situation is very much analogous to Pickens here in Pittsburgh. His problem isn't conditioning. His problems are his demeanor and his lack of maturity. His problem is pouting or blowing up on the sideline. His problem is fighting with defensive backs during a play or not giving full effort on many snaps. His problem is wearing eye black with profane messages on it or showing up late for games. Those things won't disappear once he gets a $30 million contract. Pickens is likely to ask for an extension this year. If he does, that's what he is going to want. Those issues of attitude and entitlement won't disappear once he gets all that money. They'll become worse. If he doesn't get that contract extension, he'll either show up and be a pain in the backside about it, or he'll hold out. Or the Steelers can trade him. Like the Mavs, they won't get a fair return for the present roster. But they'll get something, and they'll be rid of a salary cap problem, and potentially a locker room problem, in the future." Proposed 49ers Steelers blockbuster trade moves Deeboo Samuel for T.J. Watt. The recent high-profile NBA trade between the Los Angeles Lakers and Dallas Mavericks, which saw Anthony Davis and Luka Doncic swap teams, stunned the basketball world. While trades of that magnitude are uncommon in the NFL, particularly during the season, Bleacher Report's Christopher Knox envisioned some bold possibilities. Among his 6 proposed trade, one intriguing scenario involves the San Francisco 49ers and the Pittsburgh Steelers, with the 49ers making a significant move to acquire a dominant defensive star. Knox suggests a trade where the 49ers send wide receiver Deeboo Samuel, running back Jordan Mason, a 2025 second-round draft pick, and a 2026 second-round draft pick to the Steelers in exchange for star edge rusher T.J. Watt. Given the Steelers' past interest in acquiring 49ers wide receiver Brandon Ayuk, this trade proposal shifts their focus to Samuel. If executed, the deal could drastically reshape both franchises, with the Steelers strengthening their offense and the 49ers bolstering their defensive line. Impact of 49ers acquiring T.J. Watt. For San Francisco, acquiring Watt would immediately address their pass rushing concerns and form a formidable defensive pairing with Nick Bosa. Watt, a 7-time Pro Bowler and 6-time All-Pro selection, has been one of the NFL's most dominant defensive forces. He has recorded at least 11.5 sacks in 6 of the past 7 seasons, peaking at 22.5 sacks in 2021 when he earned the NFL Defensive Player of the Year award. Additionally, Watt led the league in sacks in both 2020, 15 sacks, and 2023, 19 sacks, proving his sustained dominance. While the Steelers reportedly plan to negotiate an extension with Watt, Knox highlights that if contract talks stall, Pittsburgh could seek a major return for their defensive star. Watt is entering a contract year, and the Steelers plan to discuss an extension this offseason, Knox explains. If the Steelers can't sort out a new contract, they could expect a massive return for the 2024 Defensive Player of the Year candidate. they could flip him for some much-needed offensive help and valuable draft capital. Steelers' offensive needs and 49ers' depth. The Pittsburgh Steelers, who ranked 23rd in total offensive yards last season, are in dire need of offensive playmakers. Before they can maximize their offense, they must first address their quarterback situation, with Russell Wilson and Justin Fields being potential options. If the Steelers opt to move on from T.J. Watt, receiving Deeboo Samuel and Jordan Mason, along with 2 high draft picks, could provide them with the reinforcements they need. Despite the proposal, 49ers general manager John Lynch has stated that the team has no plans to trade Samuel. However, Knox argues that with the emergence of Jawan Jennings and the selection of Ricky Pearsall in the first round of the 2024 NFL Draft, Samuel could become expendable. Additionally, while Jordan Mason has proven his worth as a reliable backup to Christian McCaffrey, San Francisco may prefer to move forward with Isaac Guerendo as their secondary running back. Would this trade be worth the cost for the San Francisco 49ers? While losing Samuel and multiple assets would be a hefty price, acquiring an elite edge rusher like what could be the missing piece for the 49ers defense. As Knox notes, while that would be a lot for the 49ers to give up, it would give them the elite edge rushing complement to Nick Bosa that the defense has long lacked. San Francisco is hoping that a healthier roster can put it back in the Super Bowl conversation in 2025. However, bolstering the league's 29th-ranked scoring defense is a must. While the trade remains hypothetical, it presents an intriguing possibility for both teams as they seek to address key weaknesses heading into the 2025 season. Sterling Bennett is a Heavy.com contributor covering the NFL. He has half a decade of experience as a sports broadcaster at 95.7 The Game, covering the San Francisco 49ers as part of the weekly Overtime show, where he covered Super Bowl 58. Bennett was the Golden State Warriors network coordinator from 2020 to 2024, where he was responsible for all game-day radio broadcasts, including the 2022 NBA Finals. More about Sterling Bennett. And are you a fan? What do you think of Deeboo Samuel's situation? Leave your opinion in the comments.